Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Well, y'all, this Telvin Osborne and Hannah Grace Cobb case is still trending. But there are some things in this case that people are not talking about. Well, people are starting to talk about it, and some things that I want to say that people are not saying out loud. Number one, this whole thing about her saying that she went home after clubbing all night to clean the gun, according to the police report, that is not true. One of the local news stations reporting on that incident said that the lead investigator said that she'd been cleaning her gun. But the police says that let me just read it. At no point during the investigation was there any information about the person cleaning a weapon. I know that has been some of the misinformation reported. It's crucial to know that the investigation has not been classified as accidental, said the sheriff. So that's one lie that needs to be cleared up. And I did hear the police chief give the press conference on this, and he said the same thing. There was no information given about her cleaning a weapon. So that needs to be debunked. That is not true. Also, they never said it was an accident. I haven't heard the 911 report. But according to the police, they never looked at it as an accident. After she committed the act, she called the police. They came to the house and saw the condition that he was in and either took him to the hospital or called for the paramedics. But they knew that she had pulled the trigger on him. And so now they needed to investigate. So they're trying to make it seem like, oh, they're going to let her get off because she's white. No, the police has to follow procedure even if it's a white woman. They knew what she did and they didn't rule it as an accident. So what's the next thing? A homicide. And she has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. So that's one of the things I wanted to get out of the way. But there's some other things I want to get out of the way as well. By now, we've heard how much Telvin Osborne despised black women. He despised black women, he elevated white women, and no doubt he weaponized this white woman against black women. But what we don't know is how Hannah Grace Cobb felt about black women. Hannah Grace Cobb is 28 years old in a county in Georgia that's 48% white and 45% black, which means that most likely Hannah Grace has been around black people all her life and went to school with black kids. It's entirely possible that Hannah Grace didn't hate black women. Take a look at this. Who is she dancing with and mugging with? Black women. She's at the club partying with black women. Now, some reports say he was at the club, some say he wasn't. At any rate, she was at the club and she was partying with those black women. And who did he hate the most? Black women. Some have suggested that as she was dancing, she was making some type of gesture like she was pointing a gun at someone. They've also said that the word jealousy came up relative to those two. They didn't say which one might have been jealous, but he said she was a blessing. She was his blessing. So chances are he wasn't cheating on her, but it's a good chance that she was tired of him. I'm going to make that conjecture because I believe that if a person is filled with hatred, that person is hard to live with. A person that's filled with as much anger as that guy seemed to be filled with towards black women is going to act that anger out in some way. So he's not living with a black woman to express that anger to. So who's going to be the recipient of that anger? It's going to be that white woman that he's living with. I believe, and I heard somebody else say this today. I wasn't going to say it until I heard somebody else say it. I believe he was abusing her. A man that's filled with that much hatred and anger and who will put it on the internet for the world to see. It would be unusual, I think, for a person that filled with anger and hatred not to be abusive. And it's not just him, it's other members of his family One of his family members had some nasty posts about black women on his page. And this guy right here, this is another family member. He went on about a 30-minute plus rant talking about black women because black women had tracked his social media footprint. And his paperwork came up very, very dirty, to quote another YouTuber. So he's mad because black women have exposed his cousin for the hatred and vitriol that he had towards black women. And I mean, he went on a rant of all rants, calling black women everything but children of God. He's madder at the black women for exposing his kinfolk than he is about Hannah Grace Cobb. He said more about black women than he said about the person who actually did the deed. These people are very angry. They are demonic in my mind. This kind of anger is just demonic. I mean, he went on and on and on. I'm going to put it in the comment section because it came from another content creator's page. But I'm going to let you hear if you want to, if you can stand it, because it is hard to listen to. He threatened a couple of content creators, and I think they should report that to the police. These kind of people have to be dealt with. Black women have got to stop burying their heads in the sand. And I think it's incumbent upon people my age to take this stand. I don't hate these people, but I hate this kind of demonic behavior coming from black men. And then when black men are talking about this, they're making the false equivalency of black women being with white men. Yes, black women get with white men and they come to some tragic ends too. But when you track their digital footprint, you don't see that they've said all of these horrible things about black men. This is unacceptable behavior, and black women don't deserve this. Black women do not deserve this, and especially young black girls. These men are around young black girls. The man whose life was taken has 4 children. I think those 4, he has 2 with this white woman that he was living with, 1 or 2, but he has 4 children. There's a picture of him with his children, and I'm not going to show the children's picture because they're not in it. They look mixed, but they can't pass for white. So we're really basically talking about black girls that are going to be called the N word. But they are having to live around men like this. My concern is for black girls, all black girls, but especially black girls who are unambiguous, who are black with 2 parents. They have to live with this kind of hostility and anger from people that they haven't done anything to, and they don't understand. They don't understand why they have to go through this. Hell, all black women don't understand why they have to keep going through this. This is insane. This is insane. So this is what I believe is going to happen based on what has already happened. I believe Hannah Grace Cobb was being abused. I truly believe that. I believe the case could be made that he was a controller who hated black women. He saw black women as his adversary, and he wanted Hannah Grace to see black women as her adversary so he could weaponize her against black women. And I do not believe he wanted her to associate with black women. But there she was, hanging out with black women and looked like she was having a good time. So I'm going to insert this. White people believe in self-defense. And I know this from being around white people all my life. They believe in self-defense. Years ago, when I taught at a middle school in suburban Atlanta, the school was 98% white. One year, a child came into my classroom. He transferred from another school in the county, and he was not of the middle class. This was mostly a middle class white flight school. He didn't fit the middle class mold. So the kids picked at him. They made fun of him. He was smaller too than the rest of them. He was small for his size, but he was fight. And one day he got into a fight, and he started the fight. So he was suspended from school. So when he came back to school, his father had to meet with the teachers. And when he met with me, he came in and he was like, these kids were messing with my kid. And so I'm talking, giving them teacher talk that we need to show them how to engage in conflict resolution, blah, 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 blah. He wasn't listening to anything I said. He said, these kids are picking at him. I have connections at the sheriff's office, and if he was to kill one of them, I'd get him off. I was so shocked. I screamed. I said, "No, no, sir, no, that's not the answer. He's not going to kill anybody." That man was dead serious, and he meant every word he said. And he was talking about sixth graders, 12-year-old white kids. That's what he said. Now, everybody is saying that Hannah Grace's father is a police officer. Now, I can believe he probably told his daughter, if he lays his hands on you, put his lights out. Because that's the kind of thing they say, put his lights out. And the reason I say that is because it's reported that there was some pushing and shoving. Clearly, she's guilty of what she did. Now, this is what I think they will do based on what people normally do in a case like that. They will probably get a black woman lawyer, maybe somebody from Atlanta or Charleston, and what she will do is go over not only the digital footprint of the dead man, but also his family members, and will portray these people as these angry black men who hate black women, who did not want her to associate with black women. And in these modern times, people really need to be careful about what they put on social media because in a case like this, social media content is admissible in court. And not only the dead man's social footprint, but also his kinfolk. He's got a couple of family members that said horrendous things about black women too. And this angry bird right here on a live stream talking about he was defending the honor of his kinfolk. Well, somebody needs to tell him he did more harm than good. I hope they call him as a character witness for his cousin when they have the trial. That way they'll have a chance to pull up that 30-minute rant that he made disparaging, demeaning, degrading, and threatening black women. So he needs to be called into account for his actions. Now, I have been on jury duty a number of times. I've been on criminal and civil cases. And I believe that a good lawyer could help Hannah Grace out quite a bit. Now, what she's charged with carries 1 to 10 years. So she might get off with 2 years probation or anything like that. It just depends on what she says and what she says happened and what those black women say that he hated so much. I would love to know what they had to say about this Negro. And did y'all notice how good they looked in that club? Looking good and unbothered. And another thing I want to say before I forget this, have you noticed that the people who are talking about this case are not referring to Hannah Grace as a baby mama as they would if she was black? They're calling her his wife or his girlfriend. They have 1 or 2 children together. She was a baby mama. And for the black people who are saying that these black men are being so mean to black women because they feel guilty about being with white women, you can stop that lie. They do not feel guilty about it. They are exhilarated by that all the way up until the time they're rolled into the morgue with their toes turned up. They feel good about it, so stop that lie. So if Hannah Grace gets a black woman lawyer, one of those feminists that some of these men hate so much, a black woman who actually went to law school, graduated, passed the bar, and is now practicing law, if she gets a lawyer like that and she gets 2 or 3 young black women on that jury, then Hannah Grace may indeed walk. She may actually get away with the M word. Now, I hate it comes to this, but black women have got to defend black women and black girls, especially young black women who are trying to build their lives, raise a family. They're not bothering these men, and they don't deserve what they're getting. They don't deserve it. So now it's in the hands of the law. That's all I got to say. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video and have a good day.